Hi, my name is Gwendolyn Lambert Smalls, and I am with Windshield the Bible podcast. Tonight's podcast is HBCU caught up in the Havana Syndrome Matrix. So, for those of you who don't know what HBCU stands for, it stands for Historical Black Colleges and Universities. We don't have many. We used to have thousands, and now we only have a few thousand because of the falling out of money not being allocated to go to these colleges. And for those of you who don't know what Havana Syndrome stands for, and they're predominantly black schools. And for those of you who don't know what Havana Syndrome matrix is the frequency that I hear every day in my ears. It's constantly buzzing my ears every single day. And my tongue hurts and my head hurts because it's whining all the time. That's what that is. Obama called it Havana Syndrome in 2016 when he went to Cuba, and Biden signed it into law in 2021. But it's only for military people who've been in the embassy or been on Kamala Harris's plane. Those are the only ones who are able to get compensation as well as mental health therapy. But I'm not. But today I'm talking about the matrix. The Henrietta Lacks is coded around my family. And when I was a little girl, to start out by naming the schools, when I was a little girl, I asked my dad for a dog. And he gave us a dog, and we called him Frisky. I didn't find out until maybe 4 years later when I met my cousin Ron in 2021 that First University is coded around Frisky. And knowing that her cancer cells could possibly provide the financial support that these colleges needed, they called it me around that. I want to say that also they coded my date boyfriend that I used to date, who used to play for the New York Knicks. His name is Anthony Mason, and he played number 14. And he went to Tennessee State. That's another HBCU that's coded around me. Like I said, with my husband's coding of October 31st, 64. October is when Henrietta died. 31 is when she was 31 years old. And 64 was when her cancer cells were sent to space by the government, U.S. government, without the family consent or knowledge. Well, and we also lived in Yankee Stadium, where the zip code is 10451. So if you put a slash or a hyphen between 10, that's October 04, that's October 4th, the day she died. 51, that's the year she died, 1951. So with Anthony Mason, he went to Tennessee State. But I asked him a question one day when we went out on a date, and I was like, do you chose to go to a school outside of New York City? Because New York City is big and New York City got a lot of schools. And he said no. He chose Tennessee State because Fisk University, that's what all the girls are. So I was like, oh, okay, that's what all the girls are. But not only that, Mary McLeod Bethune-Cookman, she also is an HBCU. She started HBCU with only $1.50. Yes, only $1.50. And she is the great great aunt of friends of mine. We grew up in the same neighborhood. So we got Fisk University, we got Tennessee State, now we got Bethune Cookman. Bethune Cookman was a young black woman who was in politics. She also was very close to Roosevelt, Eleanor Roosevelt. They were really good friends. She started the pension fund, the United Negro Women's Fund. She started the voting rights for black women. She did a lot. And one day my sister came home and she said, y'all would never believe what Nikki told me today in class, what she did in class today, because everyone had to come with a project. So that project was whatever you want to report on. So she decided to report on her aunt. And I have Havana syndrome, so I'm a little slow tonight because it's been really activated the last few weeks and it's been having me talk slow and my voice is kind of like cracky. But never mind that. I'm used to it. I've been having this thing on me for 24 years, going on 24 years now. So getting back to Nikki, Nikki did a report on a lady called Mary McLeod Bethune. She said, come to find out that that's Nikki's aunt. And Nikki McLeod Bethune Cookman started a college or HBCU down in Daytona Beach with only $1.50 for only girls. And now it became co-ed where it's for girls and boys. And I was really shocked sitting at the dinner table because we studied Mary McLeod Bethune Cookman in history class. So studying her in history class, I was really shocked to know that she was a part of Nikki's life, and Nikki lived right across the street, her and her brother Bubba. And Bubba is Mary McLeod Bethune III, and he's really good friends with my brother. Now, my dad lives in Bowie. Bowie State is a HBCU. Now, I know many of you probably don't know where all these colleges are, but I can tell you that they are in every state that you can find as an HBCU, basically. How did HBCU start? HBCU started because they wouldn't allow black people to go to school. So black people who were free slaves started HBCUs to teach us how to read, write, do math, and science, because that is what was popular during that time, as well as that is what is the most of the jobs required. And thanks to Mary McLeod Bethune Cookman, she got a lot of black people jobs working with unions. So HBCUs are a very vital resource in our community for black people. Now it's mixing with different races, but it is definitely predominantly black people. My dad lives in Bowie State, and he lives in not Bowie State because Bowie State is HBCU. He lives in HBCU State, Maryland, which is where Bowie State is in Bowie, Maryland. And most of my friends who I went to school with, they are all graduates of HBCUs. Now, if you ever watched the Bill Cosby show, Bill Cosby, I wrote my book, Windshield About Break, and I wrote about Felicia Rashad. And I want to get on that. That's a little off subject. Because Felicia Rashad used to call my call service looking for her hairstylist. His name was Finney. So I wrote about Felicia Rashad in my book, not knowing that what happened to Malcolm Jamal Warner would make me reflect on that. Now, most of my friends graduated from HBCUs, and they're second and third generation HBCU students. They all have children or mother went to or father went to an HBCU. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to go to an HBCU. I wanted to go to an HBCU, but I didn't know my life was coded around HBCUs. So therefore, I wouldn't be able to go to an HBCU, but I can be coded around an HBCU, which is HBCU, Historical Black College and Universities. And Bill Cosby's family was built on that show, was about historical black colleges and universities. Each one of the shows, he listed at least one or two HBCU college in his program to show you that HBCU students do well. They become very successful because he was a doctor and she was a lawyer, and they can raise a wonderful family and have wonderful friends. Generations, they had 3 generations of families on the Cosby Show. And my sister brought it to my attention that we used to watch the show all the time. And I remember when we were kids, we used to go and hang out with our friends across the street because we lived in a cul-de-sac with our friends and their families. And we used to watch watch the Cosby Show. And then the next day we would get up and we would go talk about it. what we saw on the Cosby Show the next day. And to hear what happened to Michael Jamal Warner was very sad. And HBCU colleges are made to educate Black people. They are made to give us an advantage because of the Ivy League schools wouldn't allow but a certain percentage of Black people in their schools. So we had to be in affirmative action. And being in affirmative action, we had to be selected, very selective, to go into school. Now, Brown Voices Board of Ed, I want to get back to being selective. Brown Voices Board of Ed in Farmville, Virginia, my family had a lot to do with that. That's the Supreme Court Justice with Thurgood Marshall in 1954. They call it the Board of Education. And he had a lot to do with that, making sure that we were able to segregate schools, integrate schools, because schools were segregated. And we changed the fact that Blacks and whites can't go to school together, that they can go to school together and they can be educated together. And there's nothing going on between little white boys and little Black girls and little white girls and little Black boys other than learning. And that was a difficult thing for a lot of parents who saw that their kids were going to be mixed in with school, thinking that we were dumber than they were. So getting back to Brown Voices Board of Education, they changed that in 1954, but a lot of schools wouldn't allow their kids to integrate. And so down in Farmville, the kids were out of school for 5 years. It's called a blackout. It's a blackout because that means they couldn't go to school. They couldn't go to college because they couldn't get an education. They couldn't get a diploma to be able to go to school. So a blackout is when you can't go to school, and a lot of kids didn't graduate. A lot of them moved out of town because they were threatened. That was started out by Barbara Johns. Barbara Johns was a 16-year-old who walked out of school because one of her friends had died in a school bus that the white schools had given to the Black school because they were giving us secondhand everything, secondhand books, secondhand equipment, secondhand buses. And there was a bus accident, so she walked out of school. And that led to the Brown Voices Board of Education, which is part of the Arkansas case that came out of Arkansas. They're being selective. Ivy League schools are being very selective. So the affirmative action came from them wanting to pass a law so that Black people can be able to be selected to go to these schools. Most of them can't go to these schools because they have to allow other races to go too, like Spanish, Asian, besides Black people, which makes it very difficult for us to be able to go to school and get a proper education so we can get a job and take care of our family. But the Brown Voices Board of Ed tried to make sure that that happened, but it didn't happen. But eventually it did, and now they're about to segregate schools again and communities with regentification. I regentrifying our neighborhoods, regentrifying our families, and keeping us away from white people keeping themselves away from us. But I want to get back to speaking on HBCUs. Now, HBCUs is historic Black colleges, but they also have different percentages of other races that do attend their school. You got Howard University, you got Hampton, you got Norfolk State, Virginia State, Spelman, we got Bowie, and my dad, who named my dog Frisky, He's the one that gave him the name Frisky. And he's the one who decided to name my dog Frisky. And Frisky is definitely a was a chitty chitty bang bang dog. So if you know what the chitty chitty bang bang dog looks like, that's what Frisky looked like. So do you go to an HBCU? Have you gone to an HBCU? I know you said they're targeting the HBCUs, but they're successful people in the HBCUs. There are successful people in the HBCUs, but I can say that they don't target everyone. They have certain people that they target, whoever is doing this to me. They have certain people that they target. And of course, they target me because I'm with the Henrietta Lacks family. So of course they're going to target me and my family. And my nephew, who has Havana syndrome, is looking really bad. He looks really bad. And I wanted to say that because I saw him maybe a month ago, and he looks terrible. Because it's constantly buzzing, it's constantly grinding. As you can hear by the way that I talk, I can barely talk. I can barely to be able to pronounce words. And words like that is very important when you're going to an HBCU, going to a college. But they trace me on my phone number. My phone number is 0471. That's not my phone number. My phone number is 687-0451. They also track me on my phone because you put 04, that's October 4th, 1951. That's the same year that she died, the same day that she died. So they are tracking me because of her. So I would like my podcast to be a lot longer tonight, but unfortunately, because of the Havana syndrome, it won't be as long as it should be. I do want to say this about Malcolm Jamal Warner. Malcolm Jamal Warner was a very good guy. He was really trying to help out the Black community. I saw part of his podcast, and his podcast was very interesting. It was very good, and he talked a lot about interviewing people on Black neighborhoods and Black communities. Like, not all Black people. Not all Black people are poor. Not all Black people are rich. Not all Black people are not poor. Not all Black people don't go to school. Not all Black people live a certain way. And that's the name of this podcast. Not all Black people. Not all Blacks. So that was something that was very interesting to me when he died. I learned that. I didn't know that before because otherwise I would have been watching his show because I could learn something from him. And from Foolish Rashad that I put her in my book was just ironic that she's in my book and I wrote about her. And she is the mother of HBCUs, in my opinion, because she had the most beautiful presence about herself. And she was motherly to everyone. You could tell she was a mother to every single person. I don't care what color you are, but definitely the Black community. And the Black community realizes that after Jamal Warner died, that the Cosby Show was definitely a hit show. It definitely was a show that you want to talk about when you're talking about HBCUs, historical Black colleges, and you don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose the fact that historical Black colleges is the reason why a lot of Black people have been successful because of that. I also want to say that Bill Cosby was definitely did wrong. I believe he was did wrong because of the historical Black colleges and because he was trying to represent the Black people in a way that no one else did. No one came out with HBCUs, no one came out with colleges that were geared toward Black people. It's almost like it's a curse to do things for Black people. And I feel that this Havana syndrome is definitely a curse because it's definitely doing some strange things to me lately. Now, my dad reminds me of Bill Cosby so much. And my mother reminds me of Felicia Rashad, but she's a little bit more tomboyish. But my dad reminds me of Bill Cosby a lot. The way he talks, the way he does his family, the way he wants us to succeed, the way he wants to be proud of us. Although he's proud of us for what we are, he just wants to be so proud of us to be successful. So we tried, but with the Havana syndrome, it's really hard to do too much. And I want to say that I'm so grateful that my dad was able to be the person that he was so that he can be able to take care of his family. And he did a great job of doing that. So whenever I think of Bill Cosby, I think of my dad. I love my dad, and I think he's one of the greatest men on the planet. As for my mom is a tough cookie. She's a very tough cookie. She's a lot like Felicia Rashad. And she's very colorful in her speech. If you know what that means that she curses a lot. But she still is my mom, and I still love her. So I want to say that HBCUs are a gift to us, and we should appreciate them. We should never take for granted that they'll always be here because we're losing HBCUs every day, it seems. It seems like we're just losing our HBCUs, and most people don't realize how important a HBCU is to a Black child. It's very important for culture. It's very important for family reunion. It's very important for learning to be with your own kind and what it's like to be with your own kind. It's very important for you to learn what it's like to be with around your own people. There's nothing wrong with being around other people, but it's good to be around your own people so that you can learn your own culture, appreciate your own culture, and grow your culture. And growing your culture means that add more to it, add what's already to it, just expand it, let people know that our culture is just as cool as everybody else's culture. And we don't go around shooting and killing each other all day. But the Havana syndrome does. It can make you do that. That's the part about the Havana syndrome some people don't understand, is that it can make you kill people. It can make you hurt people, harm people. And that's why when I look at Chicago and I see what Chicago is doing, it's really upsetting to know that Chicago is always still shooting and killing people out there. It's almost like whenever we have COVID or pandemic or something that keeps us inside, when we come outside, the killing starts all over again. And I don't understand that. I understand it, but I just don't understand how come people are not getting it about the Havana syndrome. Havana syndrome is a frequency that Obama called Havana syndrome when he went to Cuba in 2016. And he must have saw something over there in Cuba, the reason why he called it Havana syndrome. I'm not sure, but I know that I'm part of this matrix, if I can pronounce it correctly. I'm part of this matrix of the Havana syndrome that Obama called Havana syndrome, and Biden signed it into law. He would not have signed it into law if it wasn't real. Some people get affected by it, some people don't. Some people get affected by it in a good way, some people get affected by it in a bad way. And I got affected by it in a very bad way. So that's why I came on today to say about HBCUs. They know that the HeLa cancer cells that my cousin Ron Lack's great grandmother, not great grandmother, his grandmother gave to the world. That's the monkeypox, COVID, HIV, cancer drugs. It was sent to the moon in '64, tested in the atom bomb, dog food, tape, cosmetics, hair products, dentistry products, you name it. Oil spills. They even know how to contain oil spills with our cancer cells. That shows you that she's very powerful, and they knew that that is a very powerful cell. And if they were compensated for it, then they would be able to get all the compensation that they should get and receive from that. And that's why I'm bringing it to you tonight about the HBCUs, so that you can know, you can learn, you can teach your children and teach them what they should and should not do, even though they feel it, because it can make you feel like you want to do something. It makes you crave things like ice cream. If you have you ever bought a car and wondered how come your car you never noticed it before until you bought your own car? Those are the things that it can do to you. Those are things that it can make you do, make you feel, and do notice. Notice such things as that. So it also makes you want to do things that are not legal, that are not right, that are not good, that are not true, and blame you for it because no one can say that it's not you because they don't see your frequency. They don't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. They don't know what you know. And some people are being selected like Michael Jordan, Camilla Harris, Oprah. If you ever wonder why we never have a leader, it's because they try to get our leaders to keep black people down. That's why I wanted to report on the Havana syndrome because I want people to know that. HBCUs has a lot of graduates, people who have graduated, people who've done a lot, people who have succeeded very successful. But it still doesn't stop the fact that there are some few who don't be successful. There are some few who can't be successful and don't know why they feel this way. Why they gotta lay down because they got a headache all day. Why they don't feel this way. Or it can make you rich. It can make you very successful, make you rich, make you very respected in the community, make you a judge, make you a lawyer, make you Elon Musk, make you a Mark Zuckerberg. It can do all those things. And by me talking like this, you can see and hear that this is what the Havana Syndrome had done to me. And so that's why I reported on the HBCUs, because I want the HBCU community to know that this thing is out here. And if it's bothering you, and if you can't sleep while you're studying, or you can sleep while you're studying, or you can't, or you forget something, it makes you forget. It also makes you drop things, vertigo, cancer, heart attacks, strokes. It gives you all those things. But besides that, also what's important is HBCU. The HBCU community know this, take heed to it, and know that I'm coded in matrix around the HBCU. And that you might be coded too. You just don't know about your telephone numbers or your zip code or your street address. But HBCUs is what they coded me around in the matrix. So with that, I keep going. So what do? You keep going. You keep relying on your religious, spiritual guidance to guide you. Because HBCUs were tough We're beautiful, and we're going to keep going. And like to next week, this is the end of my show. Next week, I'll be reporting on a new subject, more about the Havana syndrome. My name is Gwendolyn Lambert Smalls, and I am with Winchell the Vibrate Podcast. You have a great evening.